You, along with 95% of coaches, are creating content the wrong way, but not on purpose. But luckily for you, I'm here to completely flip your perspective on content creation. I've created an online coaching business from scratch that now generates consistently 20 to 30k per month without a single piece of content going viral. What you really need is a small, committed audience of buyers. Today I'm going to show you what actually works to get you clients and more revenue into your program by sharing exactly what I personally would do if I was starting again from today. Before we move on, we just need to get something super crystal clear. If you think that the reason that you're stuck is because you don't have enough followers, you need to get this out your head right now. Every person thinks that audience equals income, but I built a six-figure coaching business with such a tiny audience. Less than 5,000 followers, no viral content, just strategy. I know people with over 100,000 followers that cannot sell a single coaching spot. And then on the flip side of that, I know people with only 3k followers that are making 50k per month. And you want to know what the difference is between those people? Most creators are building for just attention, but what we're trying to do is build for trust. You don't need more people, you just need the right people with the right message at the right stage of their journey. So I just wanted to start off with a bit of a personal story about this because I've been through exactly the same thing. When I first started, I was trying to do it all, guys. Every single piece of content that I made had to be viral and it had to be valuable and have some sort of call to action. It was absolutely exhausting, and to be honest with you, I just sounded like every single other coach. Worst of all though, it wasn't actually converting. But every single thing changed in my business when I first of all defined my long-term goal, and that was freedom and income for me. And then I reverse engineered the strategy and started speaking directly to my ideal client avatar, my ICA. And a lot of the time for you, this ICA is just going to be who you used to be, 2-3 years ago, that struggling version of you. And when I implemented these things, this is exactly when people started to reach out to me, guys, and saying, things like, it feels like you're in my head, you know exactly what I'm going through, all this sort of stuff. And it feels like you're speaking to me and you know what I'm going through. This is what you want. Obviously, I'm not saying we don't do outbound messaging. Of course, we do that as well. But a lot more inbound leads were coming through the door. And that is because the targeting was absolutely nailed down. That is how you build buyers, not just views. So there's 6 parts to this blueprint that I want to run through today. The first part is setting clear goals. Most coaches just do not know what they're building, guys. Like if your goal is 20k per month from coaching, then your content strategy should be reverse engineered from that. Once you have clear goals, every single thing in your business is going to become easier internally and externally. You're going to have more clarity and less overwhelm. If you can reverse engineer the process, it's exactly like you do with your clients and their goals. It's going to be so much easier for you. That clarity is so important in this day and age with all this information out there. You need to be as little as overwhelmed as possible, and that's how you're going to get your goals. The second part of this blueprint is separating content by purpose. Not every single piece of your content needs to sell, and it shouldn't sell. So what do I mean by that? There are 3 types of content that you want on your page. The first one is traffic content, and traffic content could be polarizing, it can be curiosity based, or it can be emotional pain points of your ICA. This is really important for getting that traffic, hence the word traffic content, onto your page. This is new eyeballs. This is exactly what you need. The top of that funnel, people talk about funnels all the time. This is all it is. It's getting that traffic in the top of the funnel, and then you're nurturing them through, which we're going to talk about in the other types of content. But this is that top of the funnel. You need people at the top of the funnel to get to the bottom of that funnel. People are going to filter out along the way, and that bottom of the funnel is those people that are buying your content. So you need to get as many people in the top as possible, and that comes from traffic content. And then this nurturing content, this funnel that I'm talking about, halfway through, we need this nurturing content to bring them through that funnel. And this nurture content can be separated into 3 parts as well. So we've got the teaching content, we've got the storytelling content, and we've got the belief shifting content. So the teaching content, that is just giving value and showing that you are the expert and actually giving them tips that they can implement from today. Storytelling content is actually showing people through your journey and building that trust with your ideal client. And belief shifting is breaking down limiting beliefs and making them realize that their goals are actually achievable, breaking any single doubt that they've got in their mind that they can't get to where they want to be. And that is how you're going to nurture the client through this funnel. And then we've got the sales content. This is targeting people at the bottom of the funnel that we're speaking about. And this is going to be built out of direct call to actions, otherwise known as CTAs, sharing client results, and handling objections. This is the type of content that you need sprinkled in as well. Super important to have all three of these types of content, but sales content is essential after you've done all that groundwork, laying the foundation. People miss this out for some reason. Of course, you need the call to actions. Of course, you need to be sharing the transformations. And of course, you need to be handling objections before you even get anywhere near the sales process. If you try and do all three types of these content in one post, you're going to do none of them well and you're not going to get to where you want to be. So you need to make sure that you're splitting these out accordingly in your content schedule. Part 3 of the framework is speaking to your past self. Stop trying to impress people with knowledge. Like, you don't need to be speaking with people that are on your level of knowledge. Stop trying to flex your knowledge about something fancy that you think people will be interested in, because they won't be. You need to start solving problems that your ideal client actually has. That person that's 2-3 steps behind you, that actually wants your knowledge of how you got to where you are today, or just the ideal client that you're working with on a day-to-day basis that you know how to solve their problems. So stop solving advanced problems that your ideal client actually doesn't need to know right now. They're going to think that you are way ahead of them, and that's not what they want in a coach. Part 4 is avoiding freebie culture. This is something that I've struggled with in the past and I've had to pull back a little bit on. I was giving away so many PDFs, guides, things like this, and templates just to build some sort of email list. But most of the time you've got to realize that your content should be the freebie. Like, your content should be valuable for that, nurturing content that we're speaking about before, that middle of the funnel. And that should be the freebie. Like, obviously, yes, you do want to be giving away some lead magnets and stuff. That is obviously a valuable part of it, but the implementation is the paid offer. That's what you got to realize. I think it's good to have a balance. Of course, some is good, like I say, but we want to have that email list as a bit of a backup. But the main priority needs to be social media. Like, that's where the majority of your converting is going to happen and going to take place for getting clients on board. The problem is with this, if you start doing too many lead magnets and free PDFs, you start getting what I call freebie hunters. You're going to get people that are just looking for a freebie and not people that are actually action takers and are actually going to sign up for your coaching program. If you've just got people that want a load of PDFs, these are people that are always looking for a freebie. They're never going to sign up. Part 5, focus on quality over quantity. You do not need to be posting 5 times per day. It's as simple as that. If you can be posting even just 1 to 3 high quality videos per week, you are going to do very, very well, and you can grow a 6-figure coaching business. Only if they are built around biopsychology and everything we've spoken about today. The most important part of this, though, is you need to stick with what you can be consistent with. When I say 1 to 3 high pieces of content, I'm talking about high quality reels that are actually going to bring people onto your page. You need to be consistent with it. You need to be obviously doing other types of posts around that, whether it's static posts, carousels, all this type of stuff, but you need to be consistent with whatever schedule you choose. There's no point in setting a schedule that's unrealistic, depending on what your routine looks like at the moment. You just need to be consistent with it, but just realize that it's quality over quantity. Obviously, to some extent, I'm not just saying only make 1 post per week and no other posts around that, no carousels or anything like that, but you need to just stick with what you can be the most consistent with while still producing high quality posts. Not every single post needs to be filmed in some fancy studio with a fancy camera. That's not what I'm saying, but it needs to have clear intention behind it. You need to be focusing on the strategies that we were speaking about before with the types of content, and it needs to have value in it. It can't just be some random picture of you flexing on the beach or something like that. It needs to have value. It needs to be having the buyer's psychology front of mind behind that when you're making that piece of content. 6th part of the blueprint is finding mentors at your stage. This has been essential in my growth, is finding someone that is actually at the right stage for you. I've had so many mentors. I don't even know how many mentors I've had now. I've spent thousands on mentors, and I've really been able to identify now what's been the reason why some have worked and what's been the reason why some haven't worked. Now, don't get me wrong, I've learned something from all of them, and all of them have been profitable and valuable. However, some of them have had such a bigger return on investment on, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because the ones that have done really, really well for me is someone that's just been 1 to 2 steps ahead, and I've been able to actually emulate the processes they're doing on a day-to-day basis. The ones that haven't done as well are the mentors that are so far ahead of me, and either their processes are outdated, or I don't actually get much contact with them because it's some sort of big group coaching program. You just need to make sure you're finding a mentor that is suited for you, not someone that is like 20 steps ahead of you doing thousands and hundreds of thousands per month. You need to find someone that's actually just 1 to 2 steps ahead of you, and that's where I've seen the most growth. So just to recap, guys, over these steps and give you some action points here. 3 things to stop doing right now. Stop creating content out of panic instead of strategy. Stop trying to go viral instead of building a connection, and stop having no clear niche or messaging. 5 things to start doing though. 1 is define your ideal outcome. Not just a revenue, what lifestyle do you actually want? Secondly, you need to reverse engineer your content strategy around that. Part 3 is separate your content into those 3 key pillars: the traffic, the nurture, and the sales content. Number 4 is speak to that old version of you. And number 5 is ditch those freebies and build the belief instead. This is exactly how you stop chasing attention and you start running a business that is actually built around a loyal audience of buyers. If you want a 10K per month coaching business, I've already broken down exactly how I did that step by step in the video somewhere around here, so you can shortcut the process. Click that video, give it a watch. If not, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.